Central leading Cubs. And India needed 17 balls on the final day of the third test to take England's last wicket and wrap up a 203-run win on Wednesday, reducing the deficit in the 5-match series to 2-1. Jimmy Anderson was caught by Ajinkya Rahane off the bowling of Ravichandran Ashwin after 10 minutes of play as England was bowled out for 317, having resumed on 311-9. India's victory kept the series alive heading to the fourth test in Southampton next week. That is your latest in sports here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. We are united in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. He's a name in the Lamb's Book of Life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
And welcome back to For the Record. If you're just joining us on this Wednesday morning, I'm Donna Bush in for Mr. Orit Connor. We have some very special guests in studio with us this morning. I'll begin by introducing our Honorable Deputy Premier and Minister for Tourism, Mr. Moses Kirkernel, his Chief Officer in the Ministry for Tourism, Mr. Strand Bodden, and his Director for the Department of Tourism, Mrs. Rosa Harris. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, Donna. Thank you.
Good to have you all
Donna.
here. Yeah, good to have all of you here this morning. So, Mr. Moses, we're going to begin with you because there's a special announcement that needs to be made, and I'd like for you to do it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having us on this morning. I want to say good morning to the listening public, and, of course, a big shout-out to Cayman Bracken, Little Cayman, before we get started.
Of course.
We're looking forward to the day. The announcement is that we're now launching the National Tourism Plan, which we're extremely proud of. I'm really pleased to have the team here this morning to talk about it. And after we chat a little bit about it, then we can open up and take some questions and talk about the importance of the plan itself. Mm-hmm. You know, we have been extremely blessed the last 3-4 years with our tourism product and taking advantage of opportunities. This year, we're tracking 20% ahead of last year right now. So we're very pleased with that, including stayover and cruise. We realize that for the continuity and for the opportunity with what the tourism industry is having the opportunity to grow to and what our country itself is looking at from an economic standpoint, that we had to make sure that our tourism product can stand the time test, that we can be prepared next year and the year after to benefit from it, to grow it, and to do it in the right way. Mm-hmm. We always say that one of the things we're most proud of is not only making sure that our tourism product grows, the economic benefit transfers, but bringing our young Caymanians on with our hospitality school and our educational processes. So we realized that we had to look in the future. 2013, I think, was the last time that the last plan ended. Right. And we said we want to make sure we maximize the benefit of this opportunity in the right way going forward. So we're very comfortable with where we are. I'm going to ask Director of Tourism to speak a little bit about how people can get more information. I'm very pleased to say that we have already had major presentations. The opposition gave us time. We presented to them. We went to 7 districts. We went to every district in the Cayman Islands. We had public meetings. We stayed there as late as people had questions. The district themselves, the MLAs, were there at the meeting, very supportive. We heard what they said. We changed different ideas, different things that they gave input on. We certainly realized that each district was unique, And we thought that was a plus for our tourism product as well, because we have so many offerings.
Right.
But before I steal the director's thunder, I'll turn it over to Miss Rosa Harris and ask her to speak about the way you can get involved in this.
Right. So, Mrs. Harris, it's the draft for public consultation. Let's talk about that.
That's right. So thank you for having us this morning, and good morning,
Great having you.
Cayman. This is our launch pad this morning here at Radio Cayman for the National Tourism Plan, and the consultation period will be out for approximately a month, winding up on the 26th of September. We have created a dedicated website for the public to have access to the plan. The website address is called Cayman NTP.ky, NTP for National Tourism Plan. So hopefully that'll ring with you in your memory, Cayman NTP.ky. When you're on the site, you have to sign up. So it's just to verify that it's actually a person that we're collecting information from.
And not a robot.
Right. So you will have to go through that process of providing a name, an email address, and verification. And then it'll take you through to the plan and offer you an opportunity to answer a questionnaire that will give the Ministry and Department of Tourism an opportunity to see your responses to what has been drafted. So this process so far has been very consultative. We have had tourism partners and the public see the shape of the priorities, but this is the actual document, which is lengthy, so hopefully you have a cup of tea or coffee ready for when you review and read the plan.
So if I were to go online and sign up and I wanted to take the survey, what can you walk us through how easy that is? How many questions maybe that we can look forward to having to answer? What some of the questions may be?
So actually, that's the one document I did not bring today.
It's
because
okay.
We were feverishly uploading that yesterday evening to our new website.
Okay.
So it is approximately 30 questions.
Okay.
So the document is a lengthy document, but we want to be able to get comprehensive feedback.
Sure.
Which is why I asked for you to dedicate some time to go through the questions and answer all of them. There is prompted questions where you either answer yes or no or have a choice, and you get an opportunity at the end to scribe your own feedback and sentiment on the plan itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though I sign up, is my information, when you see my information, is it tied to my name? Or is it just open, just feedback that you're getting, and you won't see necessarily who made those comments or filled out the survey? I mean, I think I know the answer, but just for the listening public.
With any survey, our research team holds the confidentiality of all respondents within the Department of Tourism. So what the reporting would be should we produce an aggregate of all of the information would just be that. Right. What the overall average response was to various questions. We would not, and hopefully we get an overwhelming response that we would not want to see the list of persons necessarily, but the content of the responses itself.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So, Mr. Strand, as Chief Officer, what's been your role in getting us to this point?
Well, good morning, Donna. Good morning to the listening public. My role in this process, when we looked at the National Tourism Plan and planning for the future, as Deputy Premier said earlier, we were looking that we had the last plan 2009 to 2013. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't have a plan for 4 years, and now we're starting another plan. So what we thought was for the 4 years between 13 and 17, what we would actually do is try to start what was in the 09 to 13 plan, okay. Right? Instead of just doing a plan and ticking a box that we did a plan, we would actually do the plan, carry it out. So that's when we really started on the main priorities, which were infrastructure, the airport got started, etc. So that's what happened. Then we said, we started to grow. We started really to ramp up in terms of visitation. We looked at it and said, we got to start planning for the future. Again, as Deputy Premier said, how are we going to manage our growth? How are we going to make it impactful for the Caymanian people? How is it going to be sustainable for the future? And that's what we're here today to discuss, the National Tourism Plan.
Well, we've seen the numbers grow by leaps and bounds as our Deputy Premier and Minister for Tourism mentioned earlier that, you know, we're seeing 20% growth in arrival numbers. Do you ever feel that the numbers our number of visitors is growing so fast that you got to really work harder to keep up as a department and a ministry?
It does feel like that sometimes, to be honest, Donna, and it just creates the opportunity for more collaboration between public and private sector, especially CITA as well, in terms of how we work together to better manage the growth, whether it's the overall cruise. So it is a lot of work to do it, but we have a fabulous team within the ministry and the Department of Tourism to do that. And again, collaboration, communication with the private sector is absolutely key, and we have a great relationship there.
Okay, so let's go through and dissect what we have here as a national tourism plan for the next few years. Deputy Premier Colonel, if we could just talk about the vision. Let's talk about the vision for the next few years.
Well, thank you very much, Donna. The vision is to take advantage, as I said earlier, of the opportunity for tourism. And if you think about where we are today, there's a lot of comment in the industry. The Eastern Caribbean had some disastrous hurricanes last year. We've got some very good numbers this year. The question always comes, are our numbers good because of other places not being able to receive tourists, or is this something that we expected? So I think the facts are that we were tracking about 5.5% above the previous year, last September. And then when the hurricanes hit, obviously there was an impact for arrivals from that, and we wound the year up at 8%. So I think that we accept that some of our numbers and strengths are from other areas not being able. But we also view that when you look at our plan and our responsibilities, we view that as a regional responsibility. It's certainly happened to us with Ivan and Paloma. It's happened to the other countries. The Caribbean itself is a massive brand that we need to take advantage of and continue. And we look at it, if this was the best shopping center globally, the Caribbean, and 3 stores got closed, you would depend on the other stores to keep the brand open. So I think that the Cayman Islands are doing an extremely good job at that. We obviously see the numbers, our average daily room rate, our lift numbers, they're all positive. But the challenge is that if you have a roadmap of how you're going to do this, and so if we said our growth, we wanted to be 5 to 7% every year for sustainability, and all of a sudden we jump to 18%. We have the ability to look at where we are and say in 5 years we want to be a certain place. We're a little bit ahead of that. So we have some time that maybe we have to tweak something.
Right.
And I'll give you an example of a tweak. One of the things that we learned in different districts was participation in the industry and how people saw themselves participating. We learned that there's a tremendous entrepreneurial spirit in the Caymanian psyche. They wanted to be involved, but some of them weren't able to be involved. So we wrote down immediately that there needs to be a different financial package available for people to get involved in the tourism industry. Yes. There has to be the right amount of interest paid on that financial lending. There has to be the right repayment period. And there has to be some mentoring with it. So we wrote that into the plan.
Right.
So those are just examples of the plan showing us that if we do these things, what benefits we'll have 5 years from now, and how we go on from there. And then we take stock in where we are with the plan as we go along and say, there are some real deliverables in the plan. We're behind or we're ahead.
Right.
So I think that if you don't have a roadmap and understanding of where you want to go, you're going to have a hard time getting there. So we're very comfortable with bringing this out now.
All right. With that, we're going to take a break here on For the Record. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with us, please.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard. The Cayman Pharmacy Group provides you with more than just prescriptions. We strive to make your health our concern. We recognize the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care. That is why we offer personalized one-on-one counseling. Our pharmacists are here to assist you with questions you may have about your health and the medications you've been prescribed. With West Bay Pharmacy and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, the Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. We care about your health.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount, or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record with your host, Orrit Connor.
And welcome back to For the Record this Wednesday morning. If you're just joining us, I have the honor of having in studio with me this morning our Deputy Premier and Minister for Tourism, the Honourable Moses Colonel, as well as his Chief Officer in the Ministry, Mr. Strand Bodden, and his Director for the Department of Tourism, Mrs. Rosa Harris. We're here talking about the new National Tourism Plan and the fact that it is now the consultation period for the public to give their feedback, take a survey online, and you can do so by going to Cayman, N as in national, T for tourism, P for plan. So that's CaymanNTP.ky. You have to sign up, as Mrs. Harris indicated earlier, and they'd be very happy, and they encourage you to please be a part of this process by filling out a survey online, which is about 30 questions long. So the phone lines are going to be open in just a few minutes. So you're welcome to give us a call at 1-800-534-8255, toll free, or you can call us directly at 949-8037 or WhatsApp or voice note us on 925-3261. Again, welcome to the show, to our guest this morning. Before we went to the break, Minister Moses, we kind of touched on a particular area of the National Tourism Plan, and that's the vision, what's ahead. There's been some ongoing projects that are put in place, being put in place to help this entire process. The infrastructure is being worked on. Can we touch a little bit on some of those that and where we're at with those, and where do we expect to be within another few months?
Absolutely, and I think that lends itself right into the plan. Mm-hmm. If you have worked out the opportunity, say after 5 years, and in that, the example being the airport itself, you know that you're going to have an airport that's going to be online that can accept 2.5 million people per year rather than the 500,000. Mm-hmm. So that is worked into your plan, and it gives comfort to investors and to people who want to come here, want to be part of this, and understand what's coming next. Mm-hmm. So the airport itself, we were extremely pleased to get it out of the ground. We are going to do a topping out next week. And then, of course, we're going to cut a beautiful ribbon down there in December. And I think that the island itself, the country itself, is going to be extremely pleased with the first part of the business plan of how we continue to grow that part of our infrastructure. Mm-hmm. If you look around Cayman, you'll see the road systems being improved, the work that Minister Hughes is doing with the need for infrastructure. Example being, as you grow your ability to get east in a shorter period of time and in an easier way, it makes it more conducive to your visitors. Yes. So that empowers Northside, East End, Bodden Town. Obviously, you heard the announcement about the Mandarin in Baden Town. They look for infrastructure. I don't think that they would have been as quick if they hadn't been able to sit down and see the infrastructure that was coming.
Yes.
So all of those things are extremely important when we look at our stayover and our cruise. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion in the country now about the cruise berthing facility. We believe that we're in a good place with it. We have certainly gone through a long period of time, but I really don't mind touching on that a little bit. Hopefully we'll have a couple calls for that this morning. But if we think of where we are and what we've been able to do when we look at two arms of tourism, one being the opportunity for stayover and the investment in hotel and airlift and a 20% growth in 2 years, and then the opportunity for cruise berthing. We look at that and the question comes, which one do you prefer? And our answer is we prefer both, because it's very clear that the obligation and the ability of the Ministry of Tourism and the Department of Tourism to deliver to the people of the Cayman Islands a growth product that gives opportunity has been put in front of us.
Yes.
And with the financial industry, beneficial ownership, questions every day coming out, we have taken the opportunity to be very aggressive and grow our tourism product. And, you know, the leaders of the team sitting here today, I always say hats off and kudos to them and their team, because they're fantastic.
Very strong team.
Very strong team.
Yeah.
And as they like to say, they've got a great bench.
Yes.
So I'm totally honored to be able to lead them.
We want to talk a little bit more, of course, to continue our talk, but we do have one caller in the air for you, Mr. Moses. Do you have a question or a comment for our guest this morning? Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Good morning, Donna.
And good morning.
Good morning, Minister. Good morning, Miss Rosa. Good morning, Mr. Bawden. This is Paula. How are you all doing today?
Hey, Paula, we're good. How are you?
Morning, Paula.
I'm very, very thankful. I want to say publicly, just to back you up on that, is that we are ready for the cruise ship berthing facility. We need it. Georgetown is the right place for the dock. You have the infrastructure in place. It's very metropolitan. All businesses are there, shops, easy access to transportation. This could bring a lot of business balance. You know, you have a balanced portfolio where you not only got business going west, but you got business going east. And you're doing the right planning. You're on the right track. I work with both sectors. I mean, when I say sectors, both entities. I work with the cruise ship and I work with the airport, and we need the two. Because with the cruise ship, you have people returning to the island. When people take a cruise, they're sampling, they're checking out destinations. Yes? And when they see our infrastructure, that's one of the first comments. You have great roads. You're very clean, very safe. We think we will come back here. When I work at the airport, how did you hear about Cayman? Well, your marketing is good, but we came here for a cruise for a couple hours, and we've seen what we liked. Now, the tenders can't work. Let me tell you why. I have a lot of guests that have problems as in disabilities. They've got scooters, they have got wheelchairs, and they says they don't feel safe. It's not very disability friendly. The cruise ships would like to stay in port longer. When they're here, if they spend time in port, majority, I would say, when you have a dock, people can come off for the whole time. Yeah, they don't have to worry about a tendering process. And a majority of cruise destinations in the Caribbean, Dominica, everybody around us have this. So yes, we do need the cruise ship dock. And even though we might say that we lose business because bad weather, even though weather might play a factor in, our cruise ship arrivals dipping. Yes, I believe the cruise industry is collapsing over a lack of not having the berthing facility. So, guys, I would like you now to continue I've got to go. So guess what? I'm doing a tour. Anyways, thank you. Have a good day. And Rosa and every one of you there, I big you up as a Caymanian. I'm very proud of you. You're planning. You do a great job. And God bless. Have a good day.
Thank you, Paula. Thanks for the feedback as well. Minister, would you like to address?
Thank you very much from a tourism ambassador. As she says, she's now going out and she's in the middle.
Yeah, she's great.
She's in the middle of a tour. But that speaks to a national tourism policy and what is the next steps of what you're going to do with it. Did you plan for it? Did you look at it? When the birthing facility is complete, what is the pedestrian thought for Georgetown? No upland development, more value for the backer interior of the Georgetown instead of just Front Street, expanding the opportunity again. So those are the types of things and the example of why the national tourism policy is so important.
Yes. The caller, talked about the port in particular, and I guess that's something that people can look at the plan. So we encourage them to go to Cayman, N as in Nancy, TP.KY, so you can take a look at the plan yourself, take your time, read through it. We certainly can't get through the entire plan today. And then that will give you an opportunity, of course, to sign up to be a part of the consultation period, which ends on September 26th. So if you're just joining us, again, we have the Minister for Tourism as well as Deputy Premier, Mr. Moses Kirkernel, with us, his Director of the Department of Tourism, Mrs. Rosa Harris, and his Chief Officer for the Ministry, Mr. Strand Bodden. We're talking about the newly launched National Tourism Plan and the consultation period. This plan goes through from 2018 to 2023. We talked a little bit about the vision earlier. We touched on that. Where did the Sister Islands play into this?
Well, the Sister Islands were the first districts to have public meetings. We spent a very enjoyable evening at Aston Reddy Center in Cayman Brac. Had very good attendance. Had, I think, a good mix and cross-section of representation. We had a day in Little Cayman. Very strong meeting. Again, good representation. A lot of ideas. And I'm safe in saying that both islands realize that they need to participate in this economic opportunity. Both islands want to participate in it. The increased airlift and the numbers that we're now seeing over the last 2 years, we've had a 20% increase in arrivals going to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Cayman Brac tracking a little bit better. Forward bookings tracking quite well for this year. But the next part of the opportunity, obviously, is the beds that need to be made available. We've had a growth. I think the Airbnb opportunity has worked really well in Cayman Brac especially. And it was identified in the tourism policy, but Airbnb for outlying districts especially brings us back full circle to Caymankind.
Yes.
And being met at the airport by the owner of a house, staying in a cottage or a room, and we're all creatures of habit. We all shop the same time every week. We all do very similar things in the vacation period. So once people meet one of us, they come back the following year or maybe sooner. They get they like the experience, and it helps build repeat guests, which is very important. So the answer is the Sister Islands are a big part of this plan. It identifies opportunities that we will pursue in the plan itself. Infrastructure opportunities, funding opportunities, and lift opportunities. Yeah. So, great question.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to touch on the dynamics. How does, as a department and even as a ministry, how do you deal with the dynamics of our three islands? They're very different. I mean, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman are how we were on Grand Cayman 20, 30 years ago. So you're dealing with different types of visitors? I mean, how do you really successfully manage all of this? Maybe I should ask you, Mrs. Harris.
Thanks, Donna. We like to think of the Cayman Islands as three distinctly different experiences. And we engage with the partners on those islands and we listen. We listen to who their customer is, who's coming now, and what they'd like to see in the future. And just to pull out a little bit from the tourism plan, each island has its own vision statement because they're very different in terms of where they are, how they participate in tourism, and what they'd like to see occur. How do we manage it all? I believe it's being in touch with the partners that are operating now and those that have a desire to have a tourism business and helping them to understand how the sector works, what the opportunities are through the Department of Tourism. As you know, we do a lot of consulting with partners on where the opportunities are, how to shape your business, and then also the marketing tools that we're most known for with the advertising and promotion. So we try to stay very in tune. We visit the sister islands on a monthly basis. Our main point of contact is through the Sister Islands Tourism Association. And then largely with us being based in Grand Cayman, there is a lot of ongoing engagement with the wider Grand Cayman tourism community through the Cayman Islands Tourism Association. So we make ourselves available to partners so that we can discuss business. When there is a shift, our partners know first because either their phones start to ring or they don't. So, or the bookings come in or they don't. So we try to be on top of those relations so that we can respond as best as possible as well.
Okay, well, we have two callers on the air. Let's go to caller one. Thank you for calling us here For the Record. Do you have a question or comment this morning for us?
Good morning, Donna.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the show.
Good morning, Mr. Moses.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Borden, and good morning to Miss Harris.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm a bit hoarse, but this is your worst nightmare, Miss Reba Dilbert. I am calling about Miramala Drive. Miramala Drive has now become a tourist area. And we have a lot of problem here because everywhere is blocked off where nobody can park. Then we have a lot of motorcycles. They're coming, doing, what motorcycles do. We have a lot of Americans crossing, a lot of tourists there crossing, walking with their children, skylarking. They leave the garbage there by the church when you go into Alfresco's. And around that area is a bit dark for tourists. We need a little light somewhere around between the church and Alfresco restaurant. We need some speed bumps put there because I am looking for somebody to lick down an American with these motorbikes. When you come in, when you take the left turn by Flo, say you go into Bogasan Road, where the church, where that museum shop is a very dangerous place. People takes the corner too wide, and I'm going to look, a car coming from the four-way and a car coming from Bogasan, they're going to collide one day. It's going to be a serious accident there. And we need yellow marks along the line because the people come there and park and there is no parking. We have people bring their own chairs, they sit on the beach and so forth, Americans from Bogasan. But there is a problem with these pit bull dogs, and there is no signs, there is nothing there to say, well, the dogs should be on leash, they shouldn't be there. We all know, yes, the beach are private, but now it is being used by the public. We as the people who live there, which is only like me and my sister and her husband, we can't be cleaning the mess all the time. We can't be police there. Something has to be done with that road, and I would like, Mr. Moses, you have my number. I would like for you to come down there one day and look at it and see what you can do, not even to protect me, but protect the tourists that walk there, and do something with it, and make some signs, do yellow marks. I don't know, but something has to be done with the Miramala Drive and the Bogasan Road, because the people take it as if, I can't explain it to you guys. And then the sunset is so beautiful. Everybody believes they can come there, block our driveways, and, no way for the tourists to park. So you all need to come there and talk to us
All right, Miss Reba, it sounds like you and I have a date.
Ms. Reba, thank you so much for that call. I know that our guests in studio are making notes, so we'll address your concerns in just a bit, but we do have another caller on the air. Do you have a question or a comment for our guest this morning, and welcome to the show?
A comment.
Please go ahead, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Moses,
Good morning, sir.
the Minister of Tourism, and to my wonderful leader of tourism, Ms. Rosa. I respect you so much. I love you so much from your background, where you come from. Every time you come in, I just have to hug you up and stuff like that.
Thanking you for the love.
I would, to call up Ms. Paula, everything is so true. Because I meet a lot of tourists comes in, I ask them if it's the first time they come, they always say yes. And they say that they come just for a few hours by the cruise ship. And there's a lot of them that I meet. So, you know, to Ms. Paula, thank you for calling, and everything is true what you said. So that was my comment. And have a blessed and wonderful week. Ms. Rosa, you and Mr. Moses. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you to the caller. We're going to take a quick break here now, and for the record, we'll be right back with more.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Does your business support or organise community projects that reduce crime, protect the environment, or improve the quality of life for the most vulnerable in our society? Submissions are now being accepted for the Chamber's Community Impact Award. Visit businessexcellenceawards.ky and apply today. The Chamber's Business Excellence Awards are proudly supported by Cayman National, Broadhurst Attorneys at Law, and Picture This.
The Kirk Freeport Clearance Center is now open. Kirk Freeport needs to make space for new season merchandise and is offering clearance discount pricing on a wide range of china, crystal, jewelry, watches, and accessories in a brand new clearance store. Located in the Town Center Plaza next to Burger King in downtown Georgetown, new stock will be added all the time, giving you a brand new clearance store to shop every week. The Kirk Freeport Clearance Store is open in Georgetown now. Outrageous discounts with new stock all the time. Get down early and often to avoid missing out.
Initiating system.
For information that matter, for the record, with Orit Connor, continues right now on Radio Cayman.
And welcome back to For the Record on this Wednesday morning. I'm Donna Bush in for Mr. Orit Connor. If you're just joining us, I have guests from the Ministry of Tourism as well as the Department of Tourism here discussing the new National Tourism Plan for 2018 through 2023. The consultation period is now happening and ends on the 26th of September. They encourage you to get involved and to learn more about what's in the National Tourism Plan. You can do so by going online to Cayman, N as in Nancy, TP.ky. You'll have to sign up, and they encourage you to also be a part of the survey by getting involved there. So we had one caller before, and now we're going to go to our second caller on the air. No more callers? Okay, we don't have any more callers. We had two callers before. One was Miss Reba, and she talked about a particular area of West Bay that anybody care to address her concerns or...
We always take Ms. Reba's comments very, very seriously. What she's talking about there, it is, and we had an off-the-air discussion about it. If you pull up maps, Google Maps, it is that outlined as a road, Mary Molly Hyde's Road. However, when you actually go there, it's very narrow, as we discussed. It's more a walking lane, I think you said, Miss Donna. So it is something that needs to be looked at in terms of the pedestrians, whether residents or visitors, and vehicular traffic on that that road.
Yeah, that area.
We need to look at whether we continue to allow it to be open as it is, and if it is, we need to look at whether that requires some infrastructure improvements, because it's not really safe for visitors and vehicular traffic.
Okay. Yeah. All right, and we had Mr. Nobi call in, who you all said, has been going to the round districts around the island at the various meetings that have been held. What's feedback been and representation been like at those meetings that have been occurring?
We were very pleased. Strong meetings. The Baden Town meeting was well attended, and at that meeting, Miss Mary Lawrence, with the MLAs for the area there, said they wanted to have further discussions about some of the Nurse Josie's and other areas of Baden Town. And from that meeting, we committed. We spent a lovely day in Baden Town with Miss Mary and the MLAs, and they were very hospitable, and I think that we gained insight into the area. There were commitments there as far as brochures and online help, and there's been a dialogue. Rosa can follow up after I stop, but that was the kind of opportunity, the kind of input we were looking for, that it was short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So when we had questions that could be answered quickly, actions that could be taken, again, it was a public meeting that everybody was invited to, and we took notes to try to do what we could quickly, to take advantage of input for the plan itself, and knew that some deliverables would be longer than 1 or 2 years. But again, it had been identified what your deliverables were at different times. So again, I think we were extremely pleased. Georgetown, Mr. Billy was at the Georgetown meeting and at West Bay. It wasn't a situation where people came and said, things are good. It was a situation where people came and were very open, shared their ideas, which is exactly what we wanted, and we were able to take that away. And now this is, the second bite at the cherry, basically. Online, you have other ideas. Plan needs to be tweaked. Plan needs to be looked at. So this is the consultation process that we have gone through, and tourism is everybody's business. So we tried to get that across, and I believe that from what we saw, the country itself is very, very proactive in looking at tourism at this point.
And certainly you've had to engage with many stakeholders during this entire process, one being, I would think, those who are responsible or leading our various attractions. Yes. On the 3 islands, how were those meetings? I mean, when you're dealing with persons who are responsible for the attractions, let's say, it may be certain things on the sister island, or district by district. What are those conversations like?
So the big takeaway for us, I want to go back to the Baden Town meeting, because that is where we have the most opportunity to move tourism opportunities to, in terms of the vastness of the district and also the willingness of the Baden Town people to welcome tourism participation. We realize that we're very much attuned to doing tours on 7 Mile Beach, sending our cruise passengers to beaches along Georgetown and West Bay to participate in recreational activities. What we realize now is that, using Ms. Josie's as an example, that in the visitor management strategy, as a part of the National Tourism Plan, we'll now have to shape what tourism activity looks like in the eastern districts in a very organized way, so that everyone knows where the opportunities are and how we can create the best visitor experience possible. So Ms. Josie's beach activities, because a lot of people travel to see the beautiful water, so beach has to be included. But there's a lot of historical sites within Baden Town that are just primed for more visitation. So we look forward to that opportunity.
All right. We have to take another break, guys. We'll be right back with more on For the Record.
Satisfaction.
satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Department of Tourism has launched OurCayman.ky, a local-focused corporate website which promises to provide concise, useful information about the work of the Tourism Department and how to engage the various areas within the department. Visitors to the website will find the latest tourism news, learn about the programs managed by DOT, find resources on laws, policies, and how to become a tourism partner, and other areas which fall under the remit of the department. In news elsewhere, U.S. President Donald Trump's former personal lawyer has pleaded guilty to campaign finance violations, and his former campaign chairman convicted for financial fraud and raising questions about the president's own legal jeopardy. Most damaging to Trump were statements by his longtime attorney and fixer, Michael Cohen, who pleaded guilty in New York, saying he and Trump had arranged the payment of hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels and a former Playboy model to influence the election. Trump tried to distance himself, mostly ignoring the back-to-back blows at a campaign rally in West Virginia on Tuesday and declaring that his administration was still winning. Hawaii residents rushed to stores to stock up on bottled water, toilet paper, and other supplies as they faced the threat of heavy rain, flash flooding, and high surf as a strengthening hurricane continued to churn toward the state. On Tuesday night, the National Weather Service announced that Hurricane Lane had become a Category 5 hurricane, which means that it is likely to cause catastrophic damage with winds 157 miles per hour or above. The hurricane is about 500 miles southeast of Honolulu. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanta Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Record. I'm Donna Bush in for Mr. Orit Connor. This Wednesday morning, we're talking tourism and the National Tourism Plan, which is now in the consultation period. Again, if you're just joining us, we'd love if you could be a part of this entire process, the consultation process that is, and you can do that by going online to www.cayman, N as in Nancy, TP.ky. You will have to sign up and be a part of the survey that's online. Again, our officials, our tourism officials are dependent on the public to get involved and to give any recommendations that they may have, so on and so forth. Again, you can go online. You have until September 26th to do that. So we have one caller on the air. Thank you for calling us on For the Record. Please go ahead with your question or comment for our guest this morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Donna. How are you doing today?
Good morning, sir. How are you? I'm good, thanks.
I'm pretty well, thanks. Good morning, Honorable Minister Capernaum.
Morning, sir.
Hi, Chief Officer Borden and Director Harris. How are you doing today?
Morning. We're good.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I only just joined the conversation only about 15, 20 minutes ago. So forgive me if what I'm going to ask may have been covered or you started the show with the outline of the plan. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to the meeting when you came to ASPE, but I do plan on going online and looking at what obtains what we ended up with. I suppose I am thinking about the plan in the context of a broader sort of economic development consideration, and in my mind that deals with three distinct variables, as we know about. It's the financial impact of development, and then there's the social and the environmental concerns. And I'm wondering if the plan, can you speak to, did the plan just targeting how we're planning on promoting, managing tourism? And in that context, does it speak to the environment component of tourism? And specifically, the role of our management agency, aka the Department of Tourism, in terms of involving itself with things like beach erosion, limitations on the uses of our public spaces. As we know now, Minister, the current 7 Mile Beach public beaches is a melting pot for many things right now. And of late, particularly in the last 8 months to a year, I live in West Bay. I see that the West Bay public beach has now become our default, I suppose, for cruise tourism passengers. And those are the kind of things that impact our lives in a very real way, as well as getting, of course, people in beds and looking at it from that perspective and what other activities and attractions we can get. If the social component of tourism starts to get to where people are becoming antagonistic towards tourism, then we really have a problem. And I'm not quite even sure if we're not there yet, Minister. And I'm wondering if the plan speaks to those sort of key aspects when we talk about a plan, how holistic in it in that regard. And again, forgive me if you've already addressed it or certainly touched on it. Those would be some of my immediate thoughts and concerns as I look to go about reading the plan, sir.
Okay. Caller, thank you very much. Mr. Moses?
Yeah, thank you very much for the call. I think it was an extremely well thought out, more of a statement and a concern than a question, and happy to take some time with it. So what screams out is balance, the balance that we have to strike between the economic benefit, the environmental aspect of it, and you touched on the social. So if we start from needing a plan to balance all of that and putting the priority for this is the well-being of the Caymanian people and the country that we all love, Cayman Islands. And we that simple call in and that simple statement made it so important to have a plan going forward and to have a policy. So I think that's a platform we sit on and we go forward with. If you look at the different problems that he spoke about, the public beach area had to be managed. And when you look at it and say, here's the balance that we're trying to find. We're trying to give opportunity to vendors who need to make a living, to support their family, to raise their children, to create educational opportunities. But we also have to balance that to where it doesn't make it a bad experience or take advantage of the property, the beach, and what the public deserves from it. So that was identified. It was a little slow coming out of the box because there was 4 different ministries involved, and we had to put everybody together. But there's some very, very capable people working on that now. The next 6 months, you should see a vendor village there. Like the craft market, if you look at the farmers market, these are all opportunities that we look to push forward. So the plan identifies that. The environmental aspect, obviously, is identified in the national tourism policy of how we go forward with it, and then the economic opportunity. So not to belabor the point, but I believe that the most important thing that came out of the conversation is we have an obligation for balance, and we have an obligation to make it a public balance of how everybody participates and works together in it.
Thank you, Minister. We do have another caller on the air. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning. This is Shane Edwards, Eco Rise Cayman. Morning, Minister.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm okay, sir. Morning, Rosa.
Morning.
Morning, everybody else.
Morning.
I've been to all of these meetings. Is that Strand there too?
Yeah, he's
yes,
right
sir.
here.
Mm-hmm. Morning, Nobi.
Morning, sir, yeah, I've been out to all these meetings through the district, and I'm still a little bit concerned with the changes that are going to take place. Have you guys come up with something in terms of what you're going to introduce with the laws compared to what we had in all the other meetings?
Nobby, I'm going to ask Rosa to just go through that because, as you well know, the notes were taken, the input was appreciated, and the commitment was made that the reason we had all of those meetings was so we could change. I think it's been acknowledged by some members of the opposition that their input was taken and changed and has started to help shape the law, and the meetings were to help shape the policy itself. So I'll ask Rosa just to elaborate.
Thank you, Minister, and thanks for the question. We're launching the NTP today, and the document is available, but at the same time, we are in the final stages of getting approval to move forward in the redrafting of the tourism laws. So the tourism laws are approximately 22 years old. The tourism regulations, 16 years old. And the last revision to the tourism tax law was made in 2013. So we are modernizing. We have engaged a number of persons on the law, including the tourism associations, and we're just going through the final step of internal approval to move to a drafting phase to include all of those changes. It is a considerable undertaking. I believe we had a paper that was approximately 30 pages long with proposed changes. So we definitely are making inroads into all of our priorities this year. We have a new tourism website that we announced last week, ourcayman.ky. We now have the National Tourism Plan being announced this week, and we hopefully will be able to table our changes later on this year to the tourism laws and regulations. So lots of tourism happenings and updates to keep in tune with.
And time is moving very quickly. So, yeah, you got a lot on your plate. We do have one more caller on the air. Welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning. Enjoying the conversation with the minister, the director, and other officials on the tourism plan.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
I just wanted to say that of the two, of course, finance and tourism, I think tourism is probably, in my mind, the more important industry we have because, yes, it is dynamic, but it is very reliable and very key to, especially to recurrent expenditure and unemployment, of course. And I say that because I've been privileged to be exposed to DOT training in recent times, the various tourism-related courses they offer. And I wonder, in seeing that and knowing the many hundreds of Caymanians in the industry who are not often recognized in terms of people being aware, I wonder what can be done to highlight our good workers in tourism and, the Cayman kind attitude, all the variety of things they do, and in so doing encourage other people, especially young people, to enter the industry in whatever field they decide. I wonder what we can do. I'm sure that is a vital part of the plan, but any thoughts on that?
Very happy.
Sort of like a proud of them kind of thing, where maybe billboards or something. I don't know.
Well, I think there's some specifics that we can certainly speak to this morning. Stingray Awards, different award ceremonies that take place, the Hall of Fame, and proud of them. But the point I believe that he's really hitting on is the one that brings out the hospitality school itself. And we always say that if we don't move the tourism industry to bring more young Caymanians into it, we've failed. And we work extremely hard. We try to take all of the barriers out of the way for young people to attend the hospitality experience, and even to the point where when they attend that, they go into the private sector and they work at different properties, and they have jobs when they come out. I mean, I know from different restaurants and hotels that we are involved in, that we visit, that we have activities, I see many of the ones that have graduated. Well, Donna, you see them too. Mm-hmm. I see you shaking your head. But that makes us feel really, really good.
Right.
And when we first started that, it was the school itself was started by the speaker, Mr. McKeeba Bush, and we continued it and strengthened it and have been very happy with its success, that we believe we can grow it more, and we also believe that as we get these young people in, they're the model that bring along their parents, their guardians, and their grandparents that see the opportunity that is now available. Because remember, the last generation thought about a lawyer, a CPA, a banker. Now they start to realize the amount of success that's available in the industry, and all of the different things that are needed. I mean, HR, engineers, pilots, CEOs, everything. Tourism is everybody's business.
Yes, it is. That's a key message. Okay, we're going to take our final break here on For the Record. We'll be right back. So when we come back, we have one.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah, and they have lots of cars on sale, some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount, or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Oh, my acid reflux is killing me.
Why don't you get something from the grocery store?
I need something better than any generic quick fix.
You should go to West Bay Pharmacy and have a brief consultation with the pharmacist. I went in last week and within minutes I was back in the car and on the road. And you know what? No more acid reflux.
How long did it take you?
Minutes. Here, give them a call at 945-0777.
West Bay Pharmacy is just around the corner with everything you need in the hours you need it. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. We are here as a team to assist you while taking care of your health. Call us today or visit our website at CaymanPharmacy.com.
Not all insurance is created equal, but who has the time to shop around? Take the guesswork out of your insurance coverage with Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Let us match you with the best coverage to suit your needs at a price to suit your wallet. Plus, get superior customer service from dedicated claims professionals to ensure speedy claims processing. Get your insurance through Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Save 50% off a complete pair of glasses with any student eye exam. From now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook. Located in the Caymanian Village. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
And welcome back to the show. We're talking tourism. That is the National Tourism Plan that has been launched and going through its consultation period, which we're asking the public to get involved in. You can do so by going online to www.cayman.tp.ky. You can sign up, be a part of the survey during this consultation period, which ends on September 26th. The Honourable Moses Colonel, Minister for Tourism and Deputy Premier for our islands, is in studio with us, along with the Director for the Department of Tourism and Chief Officer for the Ministry. Minister Moses, we have a question here on text. The question is, now that the new airport is nearing completion, what plans are being made to separate domestic inbound and outbound passengers from international and to facilitate easier transfer for passengers arriving in Grand Cayman who are on their way to the sister islands?
Thank you for the question. I think the last part of it is, how do we make it easier for the experience of going through the airport? Well, the overall experience when it's completed obviously is going to be a much better experience than we have now. If you look at some of the things that have started recently, is the planes that actually go, the Saabs and the Twin Otters, are starting to be moved closer to the arrival and departure areas. When you arrive from Little Cayman to the BRAC, there's a person that meets with a sign to basically say, go straight through. You don't go through immigration, pick up your bags, and then you have a green lane to go right through as soon as you have your bags. So the inbound experience is improving. Mm-hmm. It has to improve more because we have to work and make sure the person that meets you is always there. I can tell you that I probably fly that route as much or more than anybody, and the flight attendants make a very solid effort to make sure that you know that you don't have to go through and stop in immigration, that you just go straight through. So that has been worked on, and we see a very positive improvement. The experience of coming through to board, again, is, I think, safe to say you can see the improvements there. It is certainly flagged at the airlines, at Cayman Airways, that there needs to be a designated person who has that responsibility. Right now, that route, Cayman Express, is managed separately, but the person that manages it is not at the airport itself. And we have made the recommendation that there has to be somebody with that overarching authority and responsibility to make the experience better, period.
Okay, we have our final caller on the air. Welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is McKeever Bush. And I didn't want to call in, but I thought I should, because it was a point I wanted to make yesterday, but I didn't make on the show that I was on. And good morning to the minister. And
good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Ms. Rosa and
morning.
Strand. I think that's who we have there this morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I think you're doing well under the circumstances there, Minister.
Thank you.
One thing I wanted to just talk about the cruise business. If anyone thinks that that's going to go away, then they need to rethink. That's one. Two is, as a simple point, we all know that we are under pressure with our finance industry from all shapes and forms, but in particular the one that we have to face is the one from the United Kingdom itself. If we can't get anything done, and I know the Premier has been hard at that and on top of the issue, and if we can't get anything done, though, just think, they're going to need a cruise ship in every district, and they're going to want one in every district, because if the finance industry goes, we have nothing else but tourism to depend on. People need to stop and think before trying to sabotage, before trying to badmouth, before trying to put down, and before talking what they don't know. Some of it actually made up. They make it up themselves so they can get on the radio and sound big. That's the point I want to make. If we lose our finance industry as we know it, pray to God we don't. But if more stress is put on us and more stress is put on it, the less we get out of it. But if more stress is put on that, you're going to need a cruise ship in every district. I support it, Minister. And I think most people would know my position by now. Barring anything else, I don't see no other anything else coming up. I would have thought that we would have rethought the position over years, but we didn't, and nobody wants to accept the safe harbors that we have. So we got to go right where we are. We are badly in need of that cruise pier. We are badly in need of cargo upgrade. If that's where they want to go, Georgetown, not that I think that that's the best place to go, but if that's where we got to go and do it. We cannot put it back. As I said yesterday, must be going on 40 years now. At least every year, ever since I've been in government, we've been talking about it from one minister to the next. And I don't need to point out to you this morning the various hurdles you have had to cross to get to where you are. And you have been open and transparent with it. I don't know what else you want. But, Minister, move forward. Time is ticking. Time is on no man. We are behind places like Roatan that started long time after us. So why can't we ever agree? Why do they believe because they have an idea that has to be the idea? And even if it's good, sometimes it's not practical. So, Minister, push ahead. Ms. Rosa, thank you ever so much for the things that you're doing. From your end of it, I think tourism is in good hands with the Minister, with you, Ms. Rosa, with Mr. Stan Borden as the civil servant there that is involved, the Chief Officer, and of course your many, many good staff all around, Ms. Rosa. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for the call.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. McKeeva. Have a great weekend when it comes in the rest of the day. And it's a great time to now segue into our final minutes to talk about the dock timeline.
Thank you very much, Donna. I will continue to talk about the dock that the Speaker was raising the points on. Let us clearly understand that the point of the financial industry having issues is a real issue for the country itself when it's one of the pillars that we sit on from our economy. And with the opportunity to grow our economy through tourism, we must look at every possible way to do that and to do it in a balanced way. So I believe that if we approach it from a prudent standpoint of gathering all the information that we can gather to make a decision, that is the way forward. And that is what this government has done. That is what has been made available. And that is the process that we have gone through. When you think about the jobs that are needed as more young people graduate from the schools, when you think about the time-sensitive and the urgency of growing an economy to benefit the younger people that are looking for opportunity coming up, when you look at a statement and a way forward that was made by the government when they looked at whether we needed cruise berthing built, the measure was said that if there was any issue with 7 Mile Beach, it would not go forward. So all of the issues were put on the table. And how do you address those? Well, at the time that the outline business case started by PwC, the economy itself was down, and that year they probably did 1.2 million arrivals. And it was very simple and clear that the president of Royal Caribbean had said with the new ships that were being built, he made a public statement in writing that Royal Caribbean would not tender their vessels, that they needed a cruise berthing facility to put their largest Oasis class, which have an average of 5,000 people on board. They bypass Cayman every week as they go from Falmouth. The senior vice president from Carnival made a public statement that was carried in one of our papers that said with the new buildings that Carnival was bringing online starting in 2018, they would not be tendered. These are public documents that are available and will be put in the newspaper starting next Monday that people can actually see them. So with this information, and then knowing that we are an island, Georgetown is a port, and going through an election where we campaigned on building a cruise berthing facility and improving our economy in Georgetown and winning the election, we believe done in the proper way with the right consultation with best-in-class global experts making the business case that the correct decision can be made. And the information that we have that is available, that has been put online in the outline business case, as simple as the Beard report, a globally recognized environmental impact assessment that cost quite a bit of money, makes a statement that says there will be no impact to 7 Mile Beach because the tides don't run in that direction. And I will actually read that right out of page 19. The project will not result in any significant impact on 7 Mile Beach as no significant sediment transport occurs between Georgetown Harbor and 7 Mile Beach. But this was the kind of specific information that we were looking at from a country standpoint. And then we were looking at the economic benefit of we need to improve our cargo facility as we grow. Georgetown has been the port in this country for as long as I know. And it has been where people come ashore from the time they used to anchor off and take a pontoon and send cars ashore. So the idea of cargo displacing the economic environment there for dive and water sports, the port, simply put, we're an island, it has to come in by sea, and that is the natural harbor that we were given. It continues to be used. It must be improved. As ships get larger, we have a choice to make. We can either do the revenue stream improvement that we have in the business case for the building of the cruise berthing facility, use that to pay for a new cargo facility, a new pier to continue to build our country, or we have to be very understanding and say our cost of living is going to go up because every container that comes in, you're going to have to pay more to fund the improvement of the cargo port itself. And that is a $25 to $30 million improvement that must be done as the ships get larger and economy of scales come into place. Now, there had to be the environmental aspect of it, which was done and which was monitored and which was put into the business case. And the statement was made at the end of the PricewaterhouseCoopers business case that the economic benefit outweighed the environmental issue. Online, available, and will be put in the newspaper for people to look at it. The statement about how much is this dock going to cost? Well, there's nobody in the government that has the expertise to say what this is going to cost. The outline business case put a number of 156 million CI dollars. The statement was made again, reiterating what the outline business case said. We believe it'll cost more than that because the growth of the country says we have to improve our cargo port. But the funding to pay for this is being offered by the cruise lines themselves. And when you have that funding available with no government guarantee, no risk to the Caymanian people, and after a 25-year period of a license agreement, the Port Authority will own the cruise berthing facility, managing it for the people of the Cayman Islands. It is a way forward when we were out of ratio and could not borrow money. And I say this, remember when we attacked these infrastructural problems and had to understand how we could improve our airport, we had to derive a way to build that airport out of cash receipts. And it was just when the economy turned around that we were able to put more money into that to make the airport available actually a year earlier than we originally thought. So we're going to own our own airport cash. I don't think there's any other country in the region that can make that brag. The cruise berthing facility is not guaranteed by the government. It's not a risk for this generation or the next generation. In fact, it's an opportunity for the next generation because if our obligation as a government and as a people is to protect the next generation and give them opportunity. If the decision is to downgrade and downsize our tourism product, how does that give opportunity to the young people coming out of school? How does that allow them to raise their families? How does that allow them to participate in this great economic miracle that we've seen over the years? So I am very comfortable that we have gone to great lengths and we have outlines of all the different meetings. Just the fact that we've had 7 meetings, 7 public meetings in the last 3 months, inviting everybody in this country to come and talk to us face to face, tell us what you need, tell us what the question are, let us answer it, and let us move forward as a country united together to build what this next generation needs as opportunity. I say those things in a way that we have taken the time for the procurement exercise, which seems to be a big question, and we get up every morning and make sure people have an opportunity of free speech in this country and ask questions. And in a procurement process, which I am not on the procurement committee, but when questions are asked and you have people that are going to bid against each other, it's very simple to know that there are questions that can't be answered. And for the benefit of getting the best bid and the best value for dollar, there is a law, the procurement law, that identifies what can and can't be said. That's what we try to live by. But we have listened to questions that have come up. We have taken the decision to put the questions, the topical questions that people stop by, people call all of us and ask. We've taken the decision to do a weekly news page to answer the questions very clearly that can be understood by everybody in the country. So,
all right, Minister Colonel, we do have a few more minutes. We've been given a few more minutes here on the show this morning. So, Mr. Strand, let's start with you as we wrap up our conversation around the rollout of the consultation period for the National Tourism Plan. What are your final words to our listening audience?
Thank you very much, Donna. So we're very pleased that we've reached this milestone with the National Tourism Plan. It's very timely with all the developments we have going on in tourism in terms of infrastructure and the growth in on island. We've seen new hotels, we've seen new airlift. I won't take Miss Rosa's comment that airlift is our oxygen. So we've seen airlift ramping up. We've seen room stock ramping up to meet that demand. And the National Tourism Plan now is very timely to be able to manage that entire growth that we're seeing in a sustainable manner going forward, as Deputy Premier was saying. So it is very timely, it's very important. I ask the listening public to go through it, to comment, to give their feedback so that we can better improve it. We think it's a all-encompassing plan, but we do welcome their feedback. So just happy to be able to talk about it, and we look forward to the feedback of the public.
Okay. Mrs. Harris?
Yes, we're very proud of the work that has been done and the support that we've gotten from our tourism partners. So my closing remarks are more of a thank you to the partners and the wider public that have engaged with us, given us candid feedback, provided more insight. That has helped to get to this point. The plan will be further strengthened by the feedback that we receive from the public over the next month. I'd also like to acknowledge my team here in Grand Cayman. A lot of work has gone into the many things that we've announced in the most recent weeks. But with the National Tourism Plan, it has been a global effort, and it has been a passion project for more than 24 months to get to this stage. So I'd like to acknowledge my team because it is an absolute pleasure to work with them day in and day out. And we certainly look forward to bringing you more beneficial projects for the tourism industry.
All right. Well, it's certainly been a pleasure to have all three of you with us this morning here on For the Record. We hope that our listening audience will engage by going online to do the survey, as well as to just read up on the National Tourism Plan that was rolled out here this morning. First, on For the Record, that online website to go to is Cayman. N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, P as in Peter. That's CaymanNTP.ky. Again, you'll have to go through a sign-up process, but I would encourage you, as our guests did this morning throughout the show, to be a part of this process, have your say, and just be included, be a part of our future plan. All right, so that's it for the record this morning here on Radio Cayman. I'm Donna Bush, in for Mr. Orrick Connor, who's back with you on Friday morning. So I guess I'll catch you here next time. Have a great day.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. and Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.